I do have to briefly apologize for the quality of the video. I could not get a recording that was any better, sadly. But welcome to the Zoo of the Whooping Bird, also known as the Grus Americana. Forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. This endangered species has a current estimated population of over 500. As you can see, this is what I have built to represent what the habitat of the Grus Americana should look like. This will come into play later on. One of the negatively affecting factors of the population's decline wraps around the usage and construction of things like turbines and power lines. As a result of the turbines and power lines being built in areas common to the crane, they become a real threat when the birds fly into them. Power line collisions were the greatest known cause of mortality for whooping cranes in the Rocky Mountains, it being around 39% mortality rate. On the other hand, there were only around 4,000 and counting collisions that the Grus Americana had with turbines. So, although not as fatal, turbines are just as dangerous as the power lines. I think a wonderful way to help these birds is to remove turbines in areas that are native to the Grus Americana. This also includes the removal or relocation of power lines as well. There are a few other elements that play into hurting the whooping birds. These could not only include migratory lifestyle, which is in effect because on the occasion when migrating, whooping birds may find themselves in areas of drought, which is highly dangerous to them, but also climate change, which wraps itself into the migratory issues when it comes to being faced with drought, seeing that they're very vulnerable to that. Another strongly influential problem to the Grus Americana is the destruction of their habitat. As I mentioned previously, their habitat is represented like this. And this is how I've chosen to represent the drainage of the bird's ecosystem. The whooping bird typically live in wetlands near the coast or really any body of water. For the sake of this representation, I'm specifically referring to the drainage of wetlands for the purpose of development in agriculture. The Grus Americana's diet revolves around things that either live in or nearby the water, and removing the water from these swamps kills off the food sources of the cranes living in those areas. Regarding the drainage of places like swamps, I think we could do a better job at farming in places that don't critically affect the animals. I understand that in some places, the only areas they have that they can grow food may just be wetlands in areas native to these cranes, but the least they can do is provide for the birds by either relocating them or giving them artificial homes instead of removing their ecosystem and leaving them with the issue of finding new areas to thrive. The final crucial factor is the overhunting of the whooping cranes. The whooping cranes were typically hunted and killed for millinery trade, trophy hunting, museum collections, sustenance, and recreation. Their feathers and bones were especially collected for the fact that they're known as America's tallest bird.